You guys remember the Chamber of Commerce, right? The last time we talked about them on here, and I'm sure that there's some entrepreneurs out there who are like, yeah, I know who the Chamber of Commerce is. I deal with them on a fucking daily basis or a monthly basis. They were the ones who helped fortify the 2020 election, and now they're starting to have, I don't know, buyers' fucking regret, or maybe it's sellers' regret, because their dignity came at a steep price. Anyways, Dems' $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill poses existential threat to the United States economy. No shit. Do you really need to have an organization in order to just figure out things like $3.5 trillion? Who the fuck's gonna pay for that? Okay, you guys are supposed to be the business types, but shouldn't you be able to put numbers in and then come out with fucking numbers or something sensible? Yeah, no, but Orange Man's like really bad. Did you know about that? We had to fortify the election to show you how bad he was. The U.S. Chamber of Commerce president warned Americans on Wednesday that progressives' hefty $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill poses an existential threat to the nation or to the national economy. The group has targeted 5 moderate Democrats with a paid advertisement campaign launched on Wednesday, urging voters in those districts to tell their representatives to reject higher taxes that will say come at the bill's passage. Too fucking late for that. You already knew about the policies when you made your endorsement and you helped out where you could, so go fuck yourself. Let's talk about that bill, okay? Because enough about that little cabal of assholes, okay? We'll just move along to the people actually pushing these fucking policies. House passes stopgap bill to avert a government shutdown and suspend debt limit. Yeah, okay, because, hey, remember, the elected officials haven't missed a fucking paycheck since the outset of the pandemic, so they need to make sure that they get theirs in order to do their job. You know what? You guys have probably also been at a job where you just stayed a little bit later in order to see a project through, in order to just complete a job or finish wrapping up on something. You probably stayed a little bit longer. Okay, you know what? Eventually, you'd get that time back if you didn't get the overtime. Okay, you know what? Hey, it'll fucking come out in the wash. It'll just make you look good. But not the government, though. Not the government. They need to get theirs and then tell you to pay your fair share. God, they're such great, inclusive people, aren't they? The House of Representatives voted late Tuesday to pass a bill that would avert a government shutdown and fund it through December 3rd. I'm so happy all of their friends and family are going to get wonderful Christmas gifts through your money, as well as suspend the debt limit until after the 2022 election. The 220 to 211 vote in the Democratic majority chamber was on party lines. No shit. The bill now faces a tougher hurdle in the Senate, where Republicans have said they would mount a filibuster. Of course they would. Congress must pass a funding plan by September 30th to avert a government shutdown or U.S. default. Yeah, that could be really fucking bad. Maybe it's something we should dive into at a later date, but not today, not today. And suspend the debt limit through December 16th, 2022. The extra time will allow lawmakers to negotiate on the budget for the coming year. And Republicans won't vote to raise debt limit given Democrats' partisan budget plans, according to Mitch McConnell. So we're really glad that you didn't want to raise the debt limit, so now we can work on something. Senate Republicans won't vote to raise the country's debt limit because of Democrat plans and to spend trillions of dollars, trillions and trillions. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, why is he still that? I don't know. We need to get rid of him. And other Republican leaders said September 22nd. The House of Representatives voted this week along party lines to approve a bill that would make sure that their coffers stay full at the expense of everyone else's and their future generations. Theoretically, if we're all still alive for that. We all agree America must never default. The debt ceiling will need to be raised. You know why he said that? Because he's a Republican. Yep. Well, we're going to have to keep spending money instead of opening up the economy and rule on these unconstitutional mandates that keep locking everything down. We're just going to have to give ourselves some more credit and continue to make the money machine go brrrr. Reckless Democrat spending plans. Oh, yes, it's only reckless because you guys, just would spend $1 trillion, $2 trillion? Like, really? When you're starting to deal with that much money, really, just adding another trillion, what does that put another fucking great next to the great grandkids that are still going to be paying for this fucking abomination? But it doesn't matter. Mitch will be long gone and fucking dead. But then again, that could be tomorrow. I hope not, though. The Democrats can deal with us all by themselves because they have the House, the White House, and the Senate. So it's their responsibility. That's a good attitude to take. Ugh, Rick Scott, fuck off. The National Republican Senatorial Committee chairman. Of course he is. Guy sucks. But yes, all of this back and forth has just led to some kind of a fucking budget being passed anyways. So hey, all that saber rattling is for now, like it always is. I don't know why anybody would expect anything different if we're being completely honest. Pelosi and Schumer announced agreement on a framework to fund budget bill. Of course, by stealing more of your money. Congratulations. A weekly press hey, share now, nice. At a weekly press conference Thursday, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, yuck, and Senate Majority Leader Cuck Schumer joined the Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen and just made it rain on the audience. Oh, I'm sorry. Announced that the White House, the House, and the Senate have negotiated a framework to pay for the $3.5 trillion Build Back Better Act. Yeah, it's going to be funded by the Great Reset. Have fun with that. Opening the conference, Chuck Schumer said, "This bill has been submitted for approval from the Midnight Society." No, that's if you get that reference, you also spent a lot of your childhood in front of the television. The White House, the House, and the Senate have reached an agreement on a framework that would pay for any final negotiated agreement. So, the revenue side of this, we have an agreement. Okay, how are you going to pay for it? We have an agreement. What is that? We have a framework, an agreement of a framework for the way that we're going to be funding this, and we've reached it. So, don't worry about it. The announcement represents a huge step forward on the bill. Yes, because Democrats agree that they're going to be spending your money and no Republicans are going to help out with this. And even some Democrats are also having second thoughts about this. In the upper chamber, moderates, or tacit idiots, rather. Joe Manchin with his 90 IQ and Kyrsten Sinema, who tries at every opportunity to obscure from the fact that she's in a red state that elected the cool wine aunt under very dubious circumstances, to say the least, had each expressed opposition to the bill's cost rather than its contents. Yes, I, for one, won't support the $3.5 trillion bill or anywhere near that level of additional spending without greater clarity about why Congress chooses to ignore the serious effects of inflation and debt on the existing government programs, wrote Manchin. Yeah, don't worry about it. They agreed to a framework for the reasons that they can fund this. They got a plan. A spokesperson for Sinema was a little bit more direct and to the point. Not going to support it. So, yeah, they voiced opposition, all right. I think they've been fairly clear on that. Under the reconciliation process being used to jam the bill through the Senate, the budget can be passed without any Republican support. Yeah, they got the votes, but Democratic support must be unanimous, appealing to the Senate moderates as long as a concern for House committees drafting the legislation. So listen, there's a reason why Nancy Pelosi made sure everybody's going to be getting paychecks so they can continue to banter and bat this back and forth, because it looks like the media's kind of getting done with the whole Gabby Petito stuff. It's like, yeah, those are her remains, and yeah, her boyfriend's just out there, and it's like, oh, now the media's picking it out. Oh, if it would have been a woman of color who's missing, nobody would have talked about it. Hey, assholes, you're talking on a platform that if a black girl goes missing, feel free to talk about it. So I don't know what the fucking point of your argument is, but hey, whatever. That's eventually just going to go ahead and fade out of existence. So they're going to need something to talk about. Oh, those nasty Republicans aren't going to be helping along with our budget, and we're just all going to go broke, and we're going to default, and everybody's going to be poor and destitute. It's like, well, join the club, but also not understand the situation where if it might be a Manchin or Sinema who fucks us up for your guys' side. Honestly, you shouldn't be spending $3.2 trillion of money that you don't have. And all in all, some of the shit that was gutted, though, that we talked about yesterday, like the funding for the Iron Dome, $1 billion over to Israel. Remember, when we're dealing with such exorbitant amount of funds, $1 billion, well, a shit ton of fucking money, doesn't seem like that much, okay? So $1 billion of that got removed because Israel, hey, fuck them, and they don't like Democrats, and we have open anti-Semites over here on that side of the aisle, so they had to vote, and unfortunately it got overwhelming support by Congress, 420, nice, to 9 to fund the Iron Dome project, mostly because the outpost that is Israel for the United States is pretty much a strategic stronghold, and there's not many other ones that are out there, but we've talked about the importance of Israel ad nauseum, and it's just a boring old topic, so we need not tread it again. But AOC, man, she was just overwhelmed by spending $1 billion, which I really would have thought would have been tears of joy, because she just loves spending your money. Burst into tears as the Iron Dome's $1 billion funding is overwhelmingly approved in the House, 420 to yes 9. And Rashida Tlaib, here's hot take of the day, is accused of anti-Semitism by fellow Dem after she called Israel a violent apartheid system. You have to go a little bit further south and west in order to get there. Maybe she thought Israel was being confused with South Africa, but I don't know. Tomato. You're a fat retard. House approved sending Israel $1 billion for the Iron Dome defense system, but by an overwhelming 420 to 9 majority after progressive Rashida Tlaib was accused of anti-Semitism for being anti-Semitic. I don't like to throw around those pejoratives unless the shoe fits. Well, the curly shoe and the flying carpet does in this instance. Oh yes, and then her fellow squad mate there, stupid ass AOC, the one who burst into tears. She didn't do it when she was back in her seat or anything like that, you know, where she couldn't be caught directly on camera. She made sure that she was framed up and everybody knew that, oh my god, I'm just so distraught by those goddamn dirty Jews being able to protect themselves. It hurts me so deeply. Whatever, fuck off. Among the no votes were Tlaib and her fellow squad members, Ilhan Omar, I'm shocked, of Minnesota, and Ayanna Pressley, old cue ball of Massachusetts. No shit. AOC was one of the 2 present votes, and as you can see, we're just going to let it play on repeat because Daily Mail's good at doing that. One of the 2 present votes. So she didn't vote against it. She just voted present because, hey, she can't even stand up for her own convictions because she's just so steadfast in those after switching her vote from no at the last minute. So I guess trying to formulate a sentence was a little bit too much for her, so just the old fucking brain, you could see the smoke coming out as well. So fair enough. During the debate before the vote, Foreign Affairs Chair Representative Ted Deutsch of Florida, who opposed the $1 billion in funds initial removing from the earlier bill. Right, yeah, that was removed from the big $3.2 trillion bill because that right there was the specific thing that we could get rid of. Makes fucking sense. Anyways, I cannot allow any one of my colleagues to stand on the floor of the House of the Representatives and label Jewish Democratic State of Israel an apartheid state, Deutsch said in remarks to Tlaib just being fucking mental. And Deutsch said on Thursday, I reject it, just like she tried to reject the bill. Yeah, and he's just totally fucking over it. He's like, can you believe this bitch right here? I mean, oh my god. Talk about trying to make everything all about yourself at all times. During the debate before the bill, Foreign Affairs Chair Representative Ted Deutsch of Florida, who opposed the $1 billion in funds initial removal from an earlier bill, condemned Tlaib. It was his turn to speak during the debate. I cannot allow... What are you guys, just fucking padding or what? You got me. God damn it. If you believe in human rights, if you believe in saving lives, Israel and Palestine lives... I say to my colleague, who you just besmirched, our ally, then you support this legislation, the moderate Democrat directed at Tlaib. He was cut off for time, but was given an additional 30 seconds, during which his barrage against Tlaib's criticism of Israel continued. When there is no place on the map for one Jewish state, that's anti-Semitism, and I reject that, Deutsch said. Oh, sucks. Looks like there's a little civil war brewing within the Democrats. Maybe they're starting to realize that this pandering to the far left, you only need to do it for like a 6-month window, and these people are really fucking dumb, and they really hate the opposition. So they'll support you for as long as it takes for you to get elected. So you guys are in the downtime right now. You can just kind of throw them to the side. The end of his speech was met with applause in the chamber. Wow, imagine that. A few minutes earlier, Tlaib asserted that Israel committed war crimes. Can you provide any receipts, stupid? Invoking Human Rights Watch previous condemnation of the country's actions in the Gaza Strip. Human Rights Watch, huh? You'd be better off by saying, I have a Huffington Post article. I will not support an effort to enable war crimes, human rights abuses, and war crimes. Say it twice. Added effect. Tlaib told lawmakers in the House chamber, "We cannot be talking only about Israelis' need for safety in a time when Palestinians are living under a violent apartheid system. You lost several wars. You collaborated with Nazis in the 40s. That's probably shit she doesn't know or doesn't want to know, but don't take it from me. You got Republican Representative Chuck Fleischman of Tennessee also attacked Tlaib over comments. Speaking directly after the Michigan lawmaker, Fleischman gestured broadly as he delivered a furious condemnation of her remarks, and he looks very upset by this. They have a vocal minority in the majority party that is anti-Israel, as anti-Semitic, and as Americans, we never stand for that, the GOP representative declared. Where's the lie? As Americans, I beseech you, I reach out to the majority and I say, condemn what we just heard on the House floor. Condemn terrorism. Aha. You just saw something on the floor I thought I would never see. Not only as a member of the House, but as an American. Let's stand with Israel and condemn anti-Semitism. Israeli Foreign Minister Yair Lapid posted on Twitter celebrating the House vote. Yeah, and just a big fat fucking L for the squad. Speaking of which, Senator Ted Cruz slams AOC, Dems over border crisis, go see the Biden cages. Yeah, it was a tough day for those gaggle of idiots. But this isn't even the first time this year that Ted Cruz and AOC have clashed, rather. You remember, Ted Cruz almost got her killed, and I'm sure this is just going to be one of those remarks that finishes her right off. Senator Ted Cruz ripped Democrats over the border crisis and told them to go see the children in Biden's cages. Yeah, he built them, and now he's operating them. How adorable, in a speech in the Senate on September 22nd. Senator Cruz lambasted Democrats who ignore the crisis taking place at the southern border, and the party focused on migrant detention facilities for much of the Trump presidency. As of late, Democrats have strayed from the issue under Democrat leadership, even though conditions are worsening, according to Cruz. I'll tell you, I've been to the border. I've been to the Biden cages. For 4 years, Democrats went on and on and on. The corrupt corporate media went on and on and on about kids in cages. You couldn't turn on the evening news without hearing kids in cages. What they didn't tell you is that Barack Obama built those cages. And today, under Joe Biden, the cages are bigger and they're more full than they ever were before. Where's the lie? In the House of Representatives, Representative Ocasio-Cortez has a famous photo of her grasping her head by the kids in cages. A little bit of an addendum to that, but I'll let you finish this. Well, I'm going to give a simple challenge to Representative Ocasio-Cortez and every single Democrat in this body. Go see the Biden cages with your own eyes, and not just an empty parking lot and a chain link fence and a white pantsuit that was super fucking embarrassing then, and it's even more hilarious now. I've seen them in the Donna tent facility with over 4,000 people, with little boys and little girls on top of each other. Just a couple weeks ago, when I was in the Rio Grande Valley, the rate of COVID positivity in the Biden cages was over 22%, Cruz continued, and all the Democrats who talked about this, if they don't denounce the Biden cages, and they're telling you that they're hypocrites, that they didn't believe it was what they said, they didn't care about it when they said it, that it was all politics. It wasn't about their kids. It never is. It's all about virtue signaling points, because if it was about the kids, if it was about the families down there at the border, she'd be down there, but it isn't. She was too busy picking out a dress for the Met Gala. Tax the rich and don't send it to Israel or to help kids down at the border. She's a good person, though. Fuck her. I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.